Hey, welcome back to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and like this video. Comment down below. Let me know where you guys are from. Let me know if you're a fan of Takeoff. Let's get into this whole entire thing, man. So look, the problem with this is that Migos and Takeoff and Quavo, they went and checked into Houston. When you go and check into a place, that means that they're supposed to already provide security. You're supposed to be with the top people in that city. So when you go out of your way to go and check in, they're supposed to be helping you. And that looked like it was not the case in Migos and Takeoff, because how is it that they check in and then the dude that was already dissing Quavo from months before, like, if you guys didn't know, that dude in the yellow hoodie and everybody around like that, like, he was dissing Quavo from saying that when he sees him, he's going to do this, and he was dissing him on Twitter. Everybody started figuring that out now. And the whole thing is that, okay, well, how come Jay Prince and MobTies and them, Jay Prince Jr. and them and Jazz Prince, they didn't know that that dude was beefing with Quavo like that. So they were bound to get into an argument. And it's a bad look on Houston because, and this is the reason why it's a bad look on Houston. Now, if you got people that come and check in, it's like that's the reason for them to be able to move right. They could go to whatever hood they want. They could go around to the downtown, but you just got to be with the peoples, right? And so everybody was thinking and assuming that, okay, if they went and checked in with MobTies, then they should be able to make it back home, because the only way for it to go down the way it went down is if they didn't check in. So it's like, now it's like, oh, you better off just not even checking in at all, because look what happens to you if you do check in. That's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people who are like right there in the Houston streets are like, okay, so now it's kind of pointless to check in, because still you could get something happening to you even by the people that you go and check in with. And that's exactly what one of these situations is in this. And so, and another situation is the fact that, okay, so since they already knew that that dude was dissing Quavo, it's like, did they set him up? Did they set up the Migos to come there because that dude that was dissing him was going to do something, maybe try to get the chain, maybe try to get some money out of him? Because they were first talking about it was the dice game and then something about basketball. It's like, what are they talking about? So they were just trying to find a way to keep arguing and arguing, so that way somebody could run up and try to maybe grab the chains or something like that. And so that's another situation in it. And, now everybody's thinking like, wow, I can't believe, they went and they were supposed to be safe around MobTies. They were there at one of the MobTies' own people's birthday parties. Like, if you think about the situation, it was Jazz Prince's birthday, and he didn't even stay long enough for them to cut the cake. So that's how you know that something was about to happen. Like, if the main people started hiding, going home early, that's when you know there's something fishy going on, that you should stop, think twice, and start looking around before keeping on moving forward, because you never know if this whole thing was supposed to be a setup in the first place. I mean, if you think about that dude already in MobTies dissing Quavo, it's like, what? MobTies are going to rock with him more than they rock with Quavo and Migos. And just because of that, when they brought him to Houston and they went and checked in, and Quavo and Takeoff thought that they were doing everything that they were supposed to do, everything by the street code, it's like, wow, they ended up trusting too much into the street code, and it let them down. You got to understand that it's not a fair game. It's not a fair world out there. So people are still going to do whatever they want, regardless of rules, regulations, and like how you treat someone like they treat you. So if Migos went and checked in and everything like that, they was expecting to be treated the same way back, with respect and all that stuff, right? But here's the thing, it's not a fair world. So what ended up happening is that they tried to just set him up, get robbed, and have what happened to Takeoff happen. And whether they planned it or not, that's the type of treatment that they got. So it's not fair for you to, that's why everybody should always be cautious. Don't be giving too much energy to random people, strangers or whoever, even street guys. Like, you got to understand that not everybody's playing by the rules. So when you think you playing by the rules and you helping someone and you going to check in and you going to do this and that, whatever situation it may be, don't forget that the other person could always switch it up. They might not play by the rules this time, and they might just try to set you up. So that's one way you got to look at it. And there's a lot of situations where people in Houston, people from Atlanta, they're thinking that, maybe they did have something to do with it due to the fact that that dude was already dissing Quavo. Like, he already had issues and problems with Quavo. So what do you think that he was thinking? When he seen him in Houston, when he seen him in Texas going through Fifth Ward, he felt some type of way, and he knew that he was going to try to jump up and rob him. And the thing is that they try to get him for like 50 bands and security fees, like straight. They basically up the price on them and overcharged them, trying to say that, for them just checking in and going around with MobTies and everything, that they have to make them pay an extra 50K more. And you know how like that always happened, especially like with Nip and Cali, like they try to charge him 20K just to be around because nothing happened to him and stuff. At that time, they said just so we could make it so people don't run up on your store and all that. And so that's the same thing they try to do with Migos before they left that dice game. They try to tell them that, yeah, you got to, now after you lost this dice game, you still need to pay another 20K, still need to pay another 50K for the security fees, for checking in, for us taking you around Fifth Ward, for making sure that nothing gonna happen. And then whether they paid or didn't, that one dude in the yellow hoodie that already had problems with the Migos, already was dissing Quavo, he knew that after everything and MobTies got their money, that he was still going to try to run up on them. Because if you think about it, they're still in their territory. They're still in the Houston streets. So it's like that dude could just follow him. He could just be there. He could have, he even could have volunteered to drive and took him somewhere else, you know what I mean? And set him up that way too. And so there's a lot of different ways to look at it. But at the end of the day, y'all got to realize that you just can't be trusting nobody these days, especially if you got money like Migos did. If you are like big time millionaire like that, you're not really supposed to be going around and checking into places. Like, you don't really want people to even know you're in town like that unless it's for a show. And so unless it's for a show, they shouldn't even be popping out like that. If they do, they could pop out with their own security, go to their own stores and whatnot. And they don't really need to be having like those dudes around them, because at the end of the day, the dudes snaked them. Like, one of the dudes that's supposed to be protecting them straight up was dissing him. And he's the one that ended up doing something too. So when you look at that, it's like, okay, so they should move with their own security and not have to check in, and then make it to where if their security does have some MobTies run up on them, they're going to be able to handle it and, make sure that there are no issues like that moving forward. And it's not like, look, Houston ain't just for one group of people, man. Houston is not just for MobTies. Like, everybody wants to come to Houston. So at the end of the day, people are going to stop checking into MobTies. They're not going to take them seriously no more because of the stuff that they got the Migos into. Like, who's going to want to go and be cool with them now after seeing what just happened and the whole world is watching? Like, one place and Takeoff was standing in another place. And because they were separated and had Quavo arguing over here, then it was like a distraction. And that's how the people were able to go around behind Takeoff and try to pop up on him from behind him. And like, that's where everything, the whole situation started, with the dude in the yellow hoodie popping out of nowhere. And he's the one that tried to pull first and jumped up in front of Takeoff. And some people were saying he tried to snatch his chain and that he tried to stick him up and hold him up, man. And so he tried to pull a fast one on him. But if you really think about it, if Offset was in that situation, he would have been standing right next to Takeoff, and he would have been telling them to back off, and they would have already got up out of there before the whole event closed. Because you got to understand, if you go to somebody's birthday party like that, especially if it's a type like a whole event where it's a lot of people that might be there from the streets, you never know, right? Then what you got to do is, if the birthday party person leaves, whoever's birthday it is, you got to leave when they leave, or like right before they do, because once they leave, everything that's going to happen after that could be a setup. It could be a thing where they're like, okay, we got everybody here lacking. They all tipsy now. They all kind of doing their thing, turning up, right? And so when they leave, that's when they could set them up and pull a fast one on the whole thing. And that's what you don't want to happen. That's what it kind of looked like it happened, because it's like right after that dude leaves, everything ends up taking off. And it's, you think that the person whose whole party it is would be there the whole time. And so they already knew that they was going to leave because things was going to get hot. They could already see the argument forming between Quavo and the other dudes. The dude with the white hat, the dude with the yellow shirt was already kind of like peeping and creeping around. He went to the back a few times. Like he went to the back and then he came outside with something. And when he came outside with something, that's when we see everybody start the recordings and everything like that. And then basically he got something from in there and he came out and tried to hit a stain or he tried to poke somebody. And basically that's why the manager backed up and seen that guy with the yellow hoodie about to do something, but it was like dark, it wasn't clear, and everybody was kind of moving around. So he had to like squint his eyes, take a couple steps back to really like assess like what's going on in this thing. And he knows that Takeoff is standing right there, and the dude is like jumping in front of him and behind him, doing just like weird little things, I think he was trying to like low key tote his pole and put it right, like to let Takeoff know to let go of the chain or do this or do that, right? And then that's when everybody started running because the dude backed up. But y'all would have understood that if Offset was there, he would have made sure that they were in like a place where they weren't cornered. Because if you look at it, they were kind of cornered. They had Takeoff cornered and backed in right against that bar, like that railing. So Offset would have made it to where he would have kind of peeped game and knew that, hey, we can't have just like the whole Migos scattered around and one person cornered here and then Quavo arguing over here. He would have been like, boom, as a unit, them three and then the manager, they would have had a little bit better ground so that if something was to argue, they could quickly hit the stairs and be gone, just like that. Or they would have argued inside, and then if anything, they could have stormed out and went away. Or if things really, really got serious, then, Offset's there and he's willing to pretty much he's willing to slide for Takeoff. He's willing to do that. So that at the end of the day would have been the difference maker in the whole situation, because it could have turned out a lot differently than what it was. And, people I know that. So make sure you guys subscribe to this channel, like this video, and leave a comment down below. I'm going to catch you on the next one.